Here we go. What is up, my dudes? James here, living life from dusk till dawn as always, and we are back with another video on my 2012 Mazdaspeed 3. I've been doing a couple of upgrades over the last few weeks, months, whatever. And what these upgrades are really allowing me to do is finally start to open it up, so to speak, in the tunability of the car. So a lot of the major ones that in order to actually start adding power mods to the car include your motor mounts, going with a stronger, more durable aftermarket motor mount, and then also changing out the fuel pump, specifically the high pressure fuel pump internals, which is a weak point on the Mazdaspeeds when it comes to giving more power. I don't know if it means it likes to brake or if it just doesn't feed enough fuel. Either way, it causes issues in the engine bay. So now that we have all those things done, I can finally start to mess around with the tunes on this car. So for those of you that have been following along on the channel, I know I've mentioned it in some of the other videos that I've made, but I am specifically following the COBB tuning stage tunes that come off the shelf, so to speak, as they say, on the Accessport. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't have an endless amount of money. I can't just go out and have my car retuned every single time that I add something new, or the weather changes. So I figured I'll upgrade the car with components that are similar to those that COBB would have put out for each stage of the tunes. And then as I reach those milestones, I can put the off-the-shelf tunes on my Speed and then kind of compare them and see how they perform. Of course, at the end of this journey, once I have the car pretty much built out, or to the point where I need somebody else to be able to tune things out of my car, such as when I do my EGR delete, I'm going to want to tune out the damn engine code, which I can do through the Accessport, but I'm going to have to get hooked up with a tuner so that they can change all that sort of stuff, a licensed tuner. It sucks that I can't do it myself, but emissions has made that very difficult for those in the hobby. So anyways, for now, I'm sticking with the regular stage tunes, and because we have the upgraded aftermarket rear engine mount and a high flow air intake filter, which I've had that in there forever. I bought that thing literally the month that I bought this car, like a year and a half ago. But I can finally go for a stage 1 tune. So today's video, I'm going to be kind of showing the differences between the stage 0 and the stage 1. We're going to do some side-by-side, some 0 to 60 pulls. Figured we'll do a couple of pulls starting at 3,000 RPM first and second gear, up until either the rev limiter or red line, depending on which it hits first. We will see. And then once again in third gear to get from 3,000 RPM at whatever speed that is, I don't remember, up to about 80 miles per hour, and see how long that takes for it to do that. Let's go ahead and get right into it, just so that you know and you have kind of an idea of the mods that I have on this car right now. I have the COBB Racing rear motor mount. I have the Damon Motorsports passenger motor mount and transmission mounts. I have the Autotech high pressure fuel pump internals for a Gen 2 Mazdaspeed 3. And then, of course, that high flow air filter. I think it's called a green filter because it was cheaper than the K&N, and it seemed like effectively the same thing. So I've got that in there. And then I do have the COBB turbo inlet pipe, the larger one, but that doesn't do anything if you don't have a cold air intake. It's just for show. But I put it in there since I was already up in that area and had to take the battery out for the fuel pump. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to go for a little drive. We're going to mess around and kind of see how this car feels like on the stage 0 tune. So I have my stage 0 tune loaded up on the car. I didn't show that to you. I'll show you how to do that once I put the stage 1 tune on it. I will say that I've had the stage 1 on the car for about a month now, and it's been freaking amazing. yeah. So I threw the stage 0 back on just to kind of kick this whole thing off. So let's go ahead and start the car and see how it sounds. It's gonna sound exactly the same. I've already warmed up the car. It's been running for a while at idle. You were here for that. And I don't know if you can actually see that from this camera, but over here I've got my coolant temperature and we're sitting right around 175, which is good. So, awesome. Let's go ahead and go for a little bit of a drive. I'm gonna find a good spot that I can do these tests. Like I said, I wanna do that 0 to 60, and you can't really just do that anywhere. So anybody that does any sort of drag racing in their car knows that you don't leave your air conditioning on whenever you're going to do any sort of a bolt or a 0 to 60. I'm leaving my AC on because the car is going to get hot if I don't, and I enjoy it. But I'm going to leave it on the whole time, so that will be effectively a control aspect. So I'm slowing down here. We're on the stage 0 tune. I'm going to hold it at about 3,000 RPM. I'm going to data log in 3, 2, 1, click. We are now logging, holding it just about 3,000, and I'm gonna go wide open throttle up to about 50 miles an hour, and we'll see what it does. Ready? Okay. Not bad. Go. So we're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to set this stage 1 tune-up on here, and then we're going to do the same 3 tests. So the first step here, obviously, when you're going to tune your car in the middle of nowhere to strand yourself in the middle of nowhere, is to turn it off. So we're going to go ahead and turn it off. So I've got the key in start, or ignition, not start, so you got all the main things powered on. I'm going to turn off my fan so not a battery draw. And if we go over to our access port here, sorry for the glare that's on it, it's going to turn off on you because you did the thing. Hold up. So we're going to go ahead and press this little tab to the left to back out of our gauges. And we're going to scroll down to tune and click the center button. We're going to change ECU map and let it pull up. It's going to identify the ECU, check in the files, and then we have all these different tunes that we can throw on that come with the access port. I don't know if this is what it's going to look like for you. This is an access port that I got from somebody else, so they could have changed the names and stuff. This is the tune that I was just using, the stage 0 version 401. So I'm going to go with the 91 tune for stage 1 version 401. We're going to go ahead and click it. And then it's going to do this. Launch control, I'm not going to change anything about this. So we're going to leave it at 6,700. So you click the center button. You can adjust your idle RPM up higher. 0 RPM doesn't mean you're idling at 0. It's going to idle at right around 650. So this will just raise what your idle value is. I'm going to leave it factory right around that 650, 700. It recommends having a charger hooked up. Turn off your headlights, climate control, everything else. Obviously, I don't have a charger, but I'm going to leave it as is, and hopefully it'll be okay. And then we're just going to let this count itself up here, and you'll see that it is doing things to the dashboard as well. It's causing lights and stuff to come in. All that's going to clear whenever the tune finishes installing. And there it is, 100%. Now it's going to identify the ECU. It's going to clear all the codes, and looking at the dash, you're going to see all the different lights pop up. It's just running self checks on all the systems, basically like a quick diagnostic. And then once all that clears, then it'll give you this, and it'll say go ahead and turn the key to off and wait 15 seconds. So we're gonna turn the key to off. It's been about 15 seconds, so I hit okay on that. We're gonna go back. I'm gonna pull up the gauges again before we start it. And then let's go ahead and fire it up. And there it is. Obviously, we've got a clean dashboard, and that is doing its thing. Now, I'm gonna let it idle here for a second. I want it to be able to relearn. I want the ECU to kind of relearn what the temperature is outside and what it's like at idle. I'm gonna kick my air conditioning back on because I like it. And like I said, control. And then once I've got a clear spot of traffic, I'll go ahead and take off and we'll start doing the next round of tests. All right, we've got a clear spot. Pull out here. We'll do our second gear pulls once again. So 3,000 RPM, data logging in 3, 2, 1, click. Holding 3,000, going up to 60 miles an hour. Here we go. We're in third, 3,000 RPM. Here we go. Go. We're gonna go third gear, 80 mile an hour pull from 3,000 RPM. Logging 3, 2, 1, click. Ready? Here we go. Go. That's awkward. Well, there you have it, kind of. There's nowhere that I could find online in my research that really talks about the differences between the Stage 0 and the Stage 1 tune. I figured on the COBB website that there would be something that would show what each tune, like how they differed, whether it's fuel trims or boost levels. I don't know. So it's hard to like come up with things that I can do for comparisons between the two when I don't exactly know what the difference is. Other than just throwing it in there and seeing if it feels different, you know what I mean? I ended up deciding to re-record this, so different shirt, and I don't think the mic is being blown out right now, so sorry about that. Anyways, what I wanted to show with the kind of side-by-sides between the Stage 0 and the Stage 1 tunes, I'm going to go ahead and press play here for a moment so I can get the whole area of the graph up just like that. If you look at throttle position, so on the left side, this is your Stage 0 tune. On the right side, this is your Stage 1 tune, and throttle position on the left is in orange and it's in yellow on the right. Technical difficulties, and by that I mean user error in the software that I was using for making these graphs, so that's my bad. I'll be better next time. Anyways, throttle position, you'll notice, once again, Stage 0, it is orange. As soon as I start to do our pull, you'll notice it comes up to a peak, it cuts off, and then it starts to effectively lower over the course of the remainder of the pull. You know, you have a little bump here, and then a little bump here, and then a very large drop off, which will be translated in all of the rest of the things in the car, basically, right? Your mass airflow, which in the left graph here is pink. You'll see that peak. It'll rise until you hit this steep decline in throttle position, where it will then drop off. And then somewhere around here is when I let go of the throttle. Keep in mind that the entirety of this time period, I had my foot to the floor, as far down as that gas pedal would go. So this cutoff of throttle was entirely done within the ECU, within the computer of the car. And with that, you'll notice boost levels as well. Kind of they rise through here, which is interesting that throttle position is kind of getting cut right here. But I guess this is only over the course of about 2 seconds. Yeah, about 2 seconds. And so this should be, or would be, indicative of the turbo spooling up. But then it hits a certain point, and because of the throttle kind of limiting, or being limited by the computer, you'll notice that the boost level starts to kind of taper off until I let go of the gas right here. And then if we look over at the stage 1, throttle position is yellow. You'll notice that it comes up to a value. This value is like, I think, 76%. And then it maintains at 76% the entire time through the pull. And you'll notice that that is reflected in vehicle speed. Has a very continuous linear rise until I hit that 60 miles an hour and I let go of the throttle. The mass airflow has a relatively linear rise. It starts to kind of plateau or roll over up here, but it's still much more linear than you'll notice here when you hit a certain value, and then it dips back down. Now, I don't know what that value is associated with. I don't know what the computer is seeing that would say, hey, we're going to cut throttle. We're going to cut the amount of fuel that we're sending to the engine. I don't entirely know why. I am sure it has to do with an RPM value, maybe. Once it hits 6,000 or something like that, it's kind of a limiter for the car. I don't know. But anyways, back to this. You'll also notice boost level, for the most part, stays pretty linear. It does kind of jump up above what the computer wants it to be, and then it lowers on its own. You'll also notice that boosts over here sits right around 9 pounds in the stage 0 tune, and in the stage 1 it goes up to about 11. So you do get a little bit more boost basically out of the turbo, which is controlled by the ECU. And then if we go over to here, this is your third gear pull that we did. Once again, stage 0, stage 1. This is much more apparent in that throttle kind of response that the ECU was inputting during the drive, because you'll see green, we have throttle position on the left hand side, and yellow is throttle position on the right. On the left, once again, you'll see that peak and that dip as the computer tries to compensate for the fact that I just punched it, put the pedal to the metal. And then we have a kind of non-linear rise in throttle, and then we hit that like 6,000 RPM point. And then once again, the ECU starts to cut fuel or cut throttle, whatever it's doing. And you can see that kind of negative rise in vehicle speed where it starts to taper off up until I hit, 60 miles an hour or something like that. And then I cut fuel. And then boost, once again, kind of a continuous drop, slight but continuous drop in boost levels throughout the pull. And yeah, all of that is in relation to actual throttle position, which is controlled by the ECU in this case. And then in stage 1, you'll notice we don't have a plateau in RPM. We don't have a cut in throttle. Throttle stays continuous the whole time. Vehicle speed stays linear the entire time. Like, that's a pretty darn straight line. Boost level still slightly tapers at a negative. It's not as steep as it is for the stage 0, but it's a much flatter line all the way across. So it maintains basically maximum boost the entire time, which is wild. So you don't feel a heck of a lot of a difference, especially lower in the power band with the stage 1 tune. But when you start getting up to that 6,000 RPM range, wherever that cutoff happens in the stage 0, you really do notice the car still wanting to give you more. So it's pretty cool. So it's really frustrating about the off-the-shelf tunes. Like I said, I couldn't really find anything online that would show me the tech data or the specs on each off-the-shelf tune that you're putting in the car. So there's nothing that has a comparison of showing this is what your throttle response is going to be with the stage 0 versus the stage 1. This is what your fuel trims are going to be between the two. This is what your boost levels are going to be. This is what your, everything that you would see on the tuning side of things, which I am not familiar with. so it would all be Greek anyways, but I would like to be able to see, you know, at least a graph of what those two might be. The only thing that I was really able to find online when it talks about these differences, I'm going to read it to you. This is what Google says, that the COBB Stage 0 tune is essentially a copy of the stock engine map, allowing you to use the Accessport to monitor data without altering car's performance, while the Stage 1 tune is designed to optimize the engine for basic performance upgrades like catback exhausts and providing noticeable power gains while using mostly stock components. So I do agree with that, and that is the reason why I put the Stage 0 tune on my car in the first place, was so that I can see the gauges that the Accessport offered, as well as be able to take data logs and that kind of stuff, so I could have a baseline pretty much as I'm tuning the car. Google also says the Stage 0 offers no power increase as it mirrors the stock tune, and that the Stage 1 provides a noticeable power gain due to adjusted ignition timing, fuel delivery, and potentially increased boost pressure. I don't notice a major power increase or a noticeable power gain with the Stage 1 tune. I really just don't. If you guys have any insight into that and where I might find some of that information, then I would love to know that answer so that I can learn that myself and then also be able to put it out to y'all. So drop a comment if you got a website or something that we can check out so we can learn together. But anyways, this was quite the journey. Not just in the looking at the tunes and doing that type of thing. This video specifically stressed my editing skills. I am sure if any of you are returning viewers to the channel, you've probably noticed a lot of random things that I've done in this video, just transitions and making things appear and stuff. It is kind of all over the place, and I'm sorry. I will be working on that in the future. I was just kind of like trying to learn some new things. So I hope you have enjoyed. It was a little bit chaotic of a video. Any advice, good or bad, I suppose. I should say good or constructive. Please drop it down in the comments. And hopefully you've learned something, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. With that, I guess I will see you guys in the next video. Every couple of weeks I'm coming out with some more stuff. The Mazdaspeed is a big focus right now on my channel because I just installed, and that video will be coming out eventually, a cold air intake, which is going to allow me to do the crash bar and allow me to do front mounted intercooler, and higher stage tunes as well. And so like a Stage 1 plus tune video, maybe a Stage 2, Stage 3, all that sort of stuff, depending on how well this one does. But yeah, so whatever you guys want to see, please let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to meet those desires. So I'll see you next time. Don't forget to live from dusk till dawn, my dudes.